Welcome back to the Speak Your Truth podcast. I am your host, Jaya Rose, and I am very excited today because we are just chilling on the back porch. Okay? I'm on the back porch. Picture it. I got my feet up. I have a quart jar of water, drinking the water, and this is going to be a talk about being highly sensitive and being highly impact driven. And sometimes these things can pull from two different ends of you, and it feels like, hey, I need to rest, I need to be there for myself, and I need to honor myself, but I also want to show up, and I feel really driven to be the representation of this impact and purpose I'm here to live out. Hello, nuanced conversation. So I'm going to share with you a story and then a lesson from the story. This week on TikTok, I posted a TikTok about race. I was talking about whiteness and how really as white people, we should not be offended. We should be and have every ability and every reason to be very understanding when people of color say they don't like white people or have an issue, and really a trust issue with white people, because it's whiteness that is the issue. And whiteness has affected all of us. And even as white people, we don't have to like it. It doesn't mean it's personal. Like, literally, don't take it personal. Well, guess what people did? They took it personal. Not a shocker, but it was a very interesting experience that happened. And I want to share it with you because it's probably a lot of highly sensitive people's worst nightmare. I don't know about you, but I don't like confrontation. I do not want to be arguing with people on the internet. I don't want to be arguing with people anywhere ever in my life. And something that I've really seen through speaking up the last few years online and using my privilege and my presence to talk about race issues, I have found that I've stretched my capacity to have these conversations and that they aren't arguing. Like, I don't argue with people, and there is no argument. An argument implies there's two sides, and there isn't. There's really not. There are opinions, but I don't care about those. So what I found is that it can just be really heated, though. And when other people are slinging stuff at you as a highly sensitive person and an empath, you really need to have your guard up. I just don't really have a better way to say it. And yet, I know for me, I don't want to walk around with my guard up. I don't want to be defensive. I don't want to play that role. I want to be open-hearted and be receiving and truly be connecting. And those feel like very different places to be. And this is why I'm bringing this up, because even if you don't have as loud, like, okay, let's say you're a white person listening to this and you do care about social justice and you do care about inequity and you're willing to speak up about it, then 100% you need to learn these things. And if you're not speaking up, I recommend you do. But these principles apply to just being visible as well. And if you are a person of color who is highly sensitive, this definitely applies to you. And because I'm talking about race specifically, white people have been shielded from having to deal with talking about race. And as soon as we start talking about it, we experience things that people of color experience every day. So I just want to honor the multiple experiences here and say that we all can take a page from the playbook of being bold, being visible, doing your sacred work in the world, taking a stand, and ruffling feathers. So specifically what happened with the feathers that I ruffled, it was very interesting because I got like the most vile message from a white man who clearly was just very triggered and wants to hold on to his racism. And it was very fascinating because I also am a person whose love language is words of affirmation. And so words of affirmation, highly sensitive empath. It's like, dude, I can't even leave my house. Like, the world is not set up for me. But being criticized or being yelled at or something would be very traumatizing for me, especially in real life. But even online, I just feel people's words and I feel their energy. And so what happened is that because this video was doing really well on TikTok and it was getting a lot of feedback, and most of it was very positive, actually, mostly from Black people. And I was just deeply humbled and honored. And it was not my intention to get that type of attention. But it happened. And so I was fielding a lot of energy. And then there was white people who were saying weird shit to me. And a few people of color who had issue with what I said, which I will dive into in just a minute. But the white people, by far, had the most whacked out shit to say. And so I already was in this, like, I am not taking this on. I am not taking this in. I'm fine with if I mess up. And if people of color want to tell me that I messed up, I will listen 100%. But not here to entertain these racists who have been triggered by what I'm talking about. And so what I realized afterwards is that it's really a muscle to flex and to say, wow, I never knew that I would be able to handle something like that. I have been privileged enough that I've never had racists in my inbox, and I just wouldn't naturally know how to handle that. And yet it is a part of being visible when you're standing up. The way that I see this corresponding to being impact driven and visible is because for me in particular, I had decided a number of years ago that the impact I want to make is to leverage my privilege. And part of my privilege is my platform. And it's a big part of it. And I really want to stand up and do what I can, but I also can't be having a nervous fucking breakdown on the other side. Okay, let's just be real. All my life, before school, like before the first day of school, when big things would happen, I would break out in hives all over my body. My nervous system is very expressive. And when it isn't cared for, and it gets overwhelmed, it freaks out. And it makes red, itchy bumps all over my body, and I literally can't function. And we need to be able to function. And so again, just you can apply this to however it's applicable to your life and visibility and showing up, because we need to be whole and healthy to do our sacred work in the world. So if my main focus is impact, then I need to be honoring that impact. And that also means I need to be honoring myself. And this is a very nuanced thing. And something that just keeps coming to me over and over is like, none of us know how to do it. Nobody does. No matter who says they know, none of us know. We've never had this level of communication through social media. Even TikTok, the way that people express themselves has never happened before the last few years. And we're all navigating this. And for the sensitive people, we need to navigate it with even more care and even more understanding. And so while my personal intention is to have a big impact and to show up and to be uncomfortable, because when you decide to unpack your whiteness and your privilege, it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. And then to be vocal about it, it can actually feel unsafe. And I want to be able to do that. And like I said, if this applies to your business and you may feel unsafe. I've had clients or people comment on my videos clearly telling me that they feel unsafe just pressing record on their video. So there are all different levels of this, is what I'm saying. And my hope is that through me sharing this with you, you're going to meet yourself where you are and really see the places that you're able to honor what you need to show up for, but then also give yourself the time and space to build the muscle. Because that's how I feel after last week. I had people coming at me from every direction, and I want to be able to do that. I also know that that's not where my highest level of impact is. And I'm really conscious about deciding where my impact is. So I'm not a social justice account. You know, there are many accounts like that on TikTok, and I freaking love them, and it's amazing, and I honor those creators so deeply. And also, my big piece of impact is inside of my business. It's the way that I run my business. It's partly the scholarships that I give, the intention I have behind those. It's also the fact that I help people share their story, and I help people build their businesses and create more impact with them, and they create a ripple effect. And so I've just become very certain about the role that I play. And yet I also do speak up and want to use my voice and use whatever I learn, because this is what I feel I can do as a white person, is like go into white spaces and talk to white people and say, hey, this is what I've learned. You know, let's grow together. Let's learn together. Let's undo this problematic way of being. Let's do it. And so my point in telling you this is that I do think it's really important to look at where you can have the most impact. And it's not going to look the same for everybody. Like I said, there are a number of creators who I see, they are just like, they respond to people. They are making such amazing educational content. And I'm like, oh, I sometimes yearn for that type of impact. Like, I'm like, I know that I have the ability to speak that way, but it's also not possible for me because I can't be weeding through such high intensity emotion every day. Like I would be broken. I would be. And that's okay, you know? And I've heard a lot of different people talk about this, about, you know, being an activist, or even just, I bring it back to being a business owner. I do believe that when you have a positive message in the world and you're willing to do your work and you're willing to see your own biases and you're willing to heal, that is activism. I honestly believe that just eating healthy is activism, because we live in a society where none of this is honored. What's expected is that you'll eat unhealthy, that you'll get sick, that you'll take the medicine that makes other people rich, and you will feel numb, and you will therefore be quiet. That's what's expected. So any level of ownership and responsibility along those spectrums is activism, in my opinion. So when you are highly sensitive and you are wanting this impact, build in understanding for yourself first and foremost, and knowing that other people may judge you. I mean, someone, maybe you're listening to this right now and judging me and saying, well, that's just privilege, Jaya, and you shouldn't opt out of the conversation, or you shouldn't. And I'm like, I fully know I will not be defensive about it. There's nothing I'm doing that's perfect. Nothing. But also, I need to be with myself on a daily basis, and I need to be here for my family. I need to be a mom, and I understand who I need to be in all of it. And that's truly the best thing we can do. We really need to build the muscle of not taking it personal and not allowing other people's voices to influence what you know to be true for you right now. Like, you get to grow, you get to change. So I hope this is helpful for you in some way. I hope it's meeting you where you are. The main intention I have with sharing this story with you is that I wish someone would have shared this with me 4 years ago, when I knew I wanted to be speaking up more, when I knew I wanted to be more visible. I wanted to be sharing my message more. This just happens to be part of my message. And I wasn't, because I was afraid that it wasn't safe to do so, because it genuinely feels unsafe to have your nervous system reacting. It doesn't feel good in your body. And so I love these, like, oh, look, she's like me in some way. And so if I'm like you in some way and you relate, then I want to encourage you to be more bold in your message, to share your voice, to share what you stand for, and really also know that you still can have your needs met and you can do it your own way. It just requires you to give less fucks and to be unbothered by other people's opinion of you. That's what it takes. So I'm curious, is that what you're going for? Is that what you're ready for? Is this your next level? Let me know. I'm offering a free workshop at the end of this month in my Facebook group. If you're not a part of my Facebook group, I'll drop the link for you below here in the show notes. But I always touch on parts of these things. It's definitely going to be about sharing your story to grow your brand and attract clients online. And so go ahead and just join my free Facebook group. You don't have to sign up for the workshop. I'm going to do it in the Facebook group. And I would love to know if this impacted you in any way. You could take a screenshot, put it in your story, tag me with Jaya Rose on Instagram. And then I always do put up a post the day this goes out. And so you can come find the post on Instagram and on Facebook, actually, and comment underneath it. Let me know if this impacted you. I feel vulnerable, honestly, sharing these things. It's never easy for me to talk about what I'm doing, to be an ally, to stand up, and then, like, feel totally confident that everybody's going to get it and support me in it. And so I just want you to know that it's important to do things that make us uncomfortable and to be vulnerable. And then, go do legs up the wall if you need to. Okay. That's the main point here. So much love to you. And I will see you next week on the Speak Your Truth podcast.